Today we've had a Seth Thomas kitchen clock brought in for service and repair if necessary. An American clock from the early 1900s. So we'll take it to pieces, check it to see what parts are broken or not working. Then we'll put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, do any bushing that's required, reassemble the movement, put it on a time stand and test it for a couple of weeks to bring it into spec of a minute plus or minus per day. So let's get started. First thing we'll do is remove the clock hands and face. This case will be done up too. We'll strip that back, repaint that gold and stain that and French polish it. That'll bring it up nicely. Okay, first up, remove the taper pin on the minute arbor, put it aside. Now, minute hand should come off easily, and so did the hour hand. Right, now we'll remove the clock face, these 4 screws here. They come out pretty easily. We'll put them in a resealable plastic bag in a moment so we don't lose them. These things are all too easily lost or mixed up with another clock we've got on the bench. Carefully remove the face, put it to one side, and that's our movement. See what we got. Okay. We'll remove the spring gong now, down the base here. It's a bit tight. Screws could do with a bit of a clean up on the face too. One of them. The second one's coming out now. That's got it. Now, here we go, Seth Thomas clocks. Now we'll remove the movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 screws. One. Two. Third one. Pick that out, pair of tweezers, lift that out carefully, there we have it. That's our movement. I've removed the movement from the clock and put it on a test stand so we can test and see if any parts of it are broken or misaligned that we need to fix up once we strip it down. I've attached a beat amplifier to the movement to make it easier to hear when we get it in beat. As you can hear there, it is not in beat, it's not an even tick-tock. We need this under there, and that gives us the tick-tock. We'll get a hand out. First up, we notice that the escape wheel is turning correctly. What we'll do now is we'll put a hand on it and turn it round, and we'll check the movement of the count lever, which is that lever there. The hand up there, roll it round again, you notice the fly spin then. It's now gone into warning. We'll advance it another 5 minutes. It should strike 5 o'clock. Once again, it seems to be working very well. Watch the fly. Warning, the extra 5 minutes. Right, that's working well. Now I'll take it off the test stand and take the movement apart. First thing we'll do is we'll secure the mainsprings with a spring clamp. To do that, we wind the spring up, our clamp will fit. Yep, not quite. Tighten it a bit more. That up. Drop the clamp over. A bit more. Getting close up. Check the clamp. There it goes. Right. We'll now get the let down tool. Wind the spring a tiny bit more. Put a screwdriver into the click and hold it back. We can get a grip on it. There we go. And let the spring unwind, checking occasionally to make sure that the clamp's right. I'm going to hold, tighten out, let down tool again, wind up, release the click. Let the let down tool slide around your hand. There we have it. Got one there. Mainspring clamp holding that very tightly. Right, I'll do the next one. Wind the spring up. This is the strike side this time. We'll wind that up. Turn it over. Check to see if our clamp is going to hold it and fit on. There we go. So we'll let that down a little bit, because we're going to have to lift the mainspring clamp up. Pull the click back, let it wind down a little bit, hold it. We've got to make sure the clamp's in the right position. It is now. We can now let the spring down completely. There it goes. We've now contained both the springs. Going train spring. That side going train spring. That's a strike train spring. Mainspring. Right, let's start to take this to pieces now. This is the going side of this movement. This is the strike side. So as we take it to pieces, we'll put the parts in our relevant containers. It'll make it easier to put it back together again. It's always easy to tell the strike side of a movement because it has one of these in it. If I can get it out, there we go, thank you. And over there. Now some levers, the lift levers, put them aside, the J hook, which is that piece there, take this out first. The motion works. Look how oily that is. That is shocking. Seriously needs a good clean. Motion works. Come over there. And that guy. Second wheel. They're decent sized wheels too. We'll take the second wheel out, put that over there. First wheel. That allows us to take the spring out in one piece. There's the mainspring clamp. We'll remove that. We'll put the mainspring into a spring winder. We'll remove that. We'll open up the spring, we'll clean it, grease it, and put it back on after this brass has been through the ultrasonic. Okay, strike side. One. Second one. Then we'll take the spring off. That is super greasy. Good grief. That is shocking. Look at all the grease in my hands from just taking that off. Down there. Should never have that on a clock. It attracts dust, and before too long it'll slow your clock right down and stop it working. Atrocious. Okay, that's the back plate. Now we'll get the parts ready to put into an ultrasonic cleaner. We'll get a set of cutters. We'll cut ourselves a little bit of wire to put the pieces together. So once they come out of the ultrasonic, we'll know which part of the clock they come from. And first, hammer wheel, first wheel, and the fly. Whoops. I think, no, fly will have to go in separately. Okay. Tied those up. Cut another small bit of wire. Bend him in the middle. We'll put the Motion Works parts on this piece of wire. And the third one. Tie them off. Another piece of wire. The going train wheels. Second wheel, first wheel. Get together. Now we'll do a quick wipe on the plates, get rid of some of that oil that is everywhere. Make it easier for the ultrasonic cleaner to work. Clean up all that gunk. We'll take the escape wheel out. Put it over there. Right, that looks a bit better. Now we'll take the mainsprings out. This is our Seth Thomas movement. We've contained the springs with mainspring clamps. Now we're going to take the movement apart. First up, we'll remove the pendulum rod and suspension spring, which is that part there. Now we'll take off the pallets by undoing that clamp that allows the pallets to be removed. Pop that back. You'll notice that the screws are pretty rough. We'll rework those before we put them back in again. They've been destroyed by people using the wrong type of screwdriver and just cranking it down, and because the angle of the blade is not correct, the screwdriver jumps out of the slot and makes a mess of it. You might notice here, it's a bit hard to see, but there's a number there, 5 7/8. That is the length, the total length of the pendulum for this movement. Got no power on this because we've contained the springs. So let's start undoing. Two. Third one. We've got one there also. I'll use a smaller screwdriver for that. Little brass one. Put it out, put it aside. Now we'll slowly lift the top plate. There's another screw in there under the escapement wheel. Loosen that, remove it, put it aside. Now we should be right to take the plates off. Slowly ease them up. There may still be a little bit of tension in the movement between the wheels, so we'll very carefully remove that. Motion works as caught, we'll release that, and there we go. That's the top plate, the count wheel, the escape wheel up there. And that is the movement. I'll put these back in place. We can see what it looks like. The levers have moved, fallen out. Down that way. That's the hammer lever. So that's what we've got before we start taking it to pieces. This is the going size spring from our Seth Thomas clock. We're going to remove the mainspring, clean it and grease it, and then put it in a bag so it doesn't get dirty, and then we'll do the ultrasonic cleaning. First thing we do, we put it into the winder and tighten it down. Move that on to hold it, and then put the loop into the spring. We're going to remove the clamp from the mainspring, let the spring unwind, then clean it, oil it, and put it aside. So we'll wind the mainspring up till we can slide the clamp off, reverse the flow of the spring winder, and slowly let it unwind. And there it is. I now get ready to clean the spring with some kerosene on a scouring pad. We've got our blue kero. Blue kerosene. And a scouring pad. A couple of clean bits of cloth. First thing we'll do is we'll take the spring out of the spring winder. And then remove it from there. We'll put that back over there, which is going into the ultrasonics in a moment. I have a little pin that I made for doing this job. Put it into the winder. Slide the spring over the top. Put the catch on to hold it so we don't lose it. Now we're going to clean the spring. A little bit of blue Kero. Don't need much, we don't want to drip it on the carpet. Tiny little bit. Double it up, squeeze it. Now we'll bend our scouring pad over the spring and rub it backwards and forwards, up and down the spring. That could use a little bit more Kero. Put a bit more in, that's better. Back to where we were. Double the scouring pad and run it up and down the spring. You'll see it removing old grease that's accumulated over the years, and we'll see that very simply once we put a clean cloth on it to remove the Kero. Right, we'll go back the other way now. Still rubbing it with a scouring pad. Clean my gloves on a piece of cloth so you can see just how much dirt and gunk and oil we've got off this spring. Okay, we'll start at the base and run up slowly, moving the cloth as we go. Twang, does it work? That has pretty much taken the Kero off, so we'll run down again. That's the gunk we've got off the spring. We give it a second wipe with another clean piece of cloth just to remove any kerosene that's left on the spring. Wipe it up and down till we get to the top, then down again. As you can see, there's not much left on the spring and we've taken that off. Right, the spring's clean now. We're now going to grease it and put it in a bag. Right, take the spring off out of the spring winder. Put it down there, remove that. Now this is the grease we're going to use, PTFE grease. You don't use oil on a spring, even quality clock oil you don't use, simply because as the spring winds up, the oil will be pushed out of the spring and drop down into the case of the clock. So we load up our toothpick and then run one side around the spring. Run it down around there. Next loop. The wider loop. Doesn't matter if you put a bit too much on, because once the spring has been compressed, the excess grease will push out and we'll wipe that off before it goes back into the movement. In there, some on the outside. Turn that round. It's looking better, a little bit there. And a bit there. Okay. Wipe my gloves, get rid of the grease. Pop this back in again, tighten it down. Put the spring on it. Make sure it's going to catch. Yep. Put the hook on it at the back. Tighten that down. And we'll start to tighten down the spring. Keep the spring in there. I'll have to loosen that off and tighten up the circle in the center of the spring where the loop is. They're slipping a little bit. Okay, reverse the flow. It's undone. Take the spring off. Long nose pliers. That circle in there where the pin locks in, the spring has opened up a little bit and it's slipping over. So we slide the long nose pliers in and tighten it up a little bit. Squeeze it down, tighten it. Move back a bit further, tighten a little bit more. Then see how it grips. Okay, that's getting there. Seems to be holding this time. Almost done, a little bit more. We've got our mainspring clamp, see if it fits. Just the tiniest bit more. The clamp will fit. Okay. Now reverse the flow of the winder and slowly let it unwind. Okay. Take the rim out, move the spring, and we'll take the spring off the winder by turning it in the reverse manner. Sometimes it's easier to put a key on it and twist it. I've certainly tightened it down this time, that's for sure. Twist that round. Got him. There we go. There's our spring. You can see the excess grease on the outside. I'll wipe that off. Okay, one clean spring ready to go. I'll put that in a bag, suitably marked, going side spring, and put that aside. I'll do the strike side train now, then we'll get all the parts into the ultrasonic cleaner and get them cleaned up. Hi, I'm Scotty. Welcome to Scotty's Clock World. We brought the ultrasonic up to temperature, 30 degrees centigrade. So we'll put the plates in first because they're larger. The back plate, and the front plate. Turn that one up. Too big, we'll have to do them one at a time. Not a problem, we'll take that out. Pop it in there. Turn this on for 5 minutes. Let it run. We'll come back after 5 minutes, take the back plate out, and we'll put the front plate in and do that one. Alright, the back plate is finished. We'll take that out, the ultrasonic. We'll swap it over for the front plate. Get a bit shinier. Put in our container. Drop that in. It'll fully submerge now. Put it on for 5 minutes. And then we'll come back. Right, the back plate's finished. We'll take that out. Put it in the tray with the front plate. Drip it off a bit. Now we'll put the other wheels in. We've already tied them up so we know which is which. So we'll pop them in. Right. Going side. Escape wheel. Motion works, we'll put them in the middle. And the wind wheel. The going side spring. Put them on. Give them 5 minutes. We'll come back, we'll take them out. Then we'll go through the next stage, which is washing them. Okay, time's up. We'll take the other parts out. Then we'll go and clean them. Slide that underneath so we don't spill it on the carpet. Now we'll go to the kitchen to do the next stage. Right, we've brought the parts out. Now, first step is we're going to wash the ultrasonic cleaner fluid off in some warm water. We'll fill a dish and start putting the parts into there. Put the front and the back plate in first. Move them up and down a bit to clean them. Put them over there. Now we'll fill a dish with shellite, also known as lighter fluid. Fill that up. Put our drying cloth in front. Now take the back plate out, shake it, put it into our shellite, move it round a bit. The shellite will remove the water, or the vast majority of it, and we'll dry it off with a hot dry air gun. Front plate, do the same. Into the shellite. Drain it off. Goes back there. Now we'll dry both those off with a hot air gun on low. That'll get rid of the last drops of water on the plate. You see the plates come up nice and shiny. Now the front plate, dry it off. Lovely shiny wheel there, count wheel. Turn it over, reverse it. That's looking pretty good. Bring our tub back again, empty it. Fill it with some warm water and put our other parts in it. There we go, that's all of those. We'll sit there for a moment. Come over there. Now we'll put them into the shellite, one set at a time. Haven't they come up nice and shiny and clean? Done an excellent job. Motion works. Fly. Last of all, the escape wheel. Now remove the plates that are nice and dry, clean, put them aside. so that we can put the wheels out on our drying cloth. Throw them up. Going side wheels, strike side wheels. Motion works in the centre. Fly. And the escape wheel. Now we'll dry them on low with a heat gun. Both sides. Another 2 strike side wheels. That's the hammer strike wheel. Fly. Motion works. Escape wheel. They all look pretty good now, so put them in the container, take them back to the bench, and we'll start to put them together. Right, we've put all the parts of our Seth Thomas movement through an ultrasonic cleaner. We're now going to put the wheels back into the plates so we can check the bushes and the pivots. Up there. Next wheel. Got him. And the fly. Right at the top. That's the strike side train. We'll put the top plate on now. Down. Right, put a screw in there to hold that down. There. Right, now we can start to put the wheels in place. Almost, that's got him. Now the fly dropped into place. These pillars are a bit tight. Tighten that down. I think the bottom plate might be a little bit out of square. We'll check that when we take the wheels out again. Now what do we got? Very tight. Loosen that off a little bit. That screw. That's better, we've got movement there. It's very tight though. Now, let's have a look and see what we got. We're looking at that hole there, because it hasn't got a bushing in it. See how much that's rolling backwards and forwards? And that one there is even worse. See it moving? That's heaps. They'll have to be rebushed. The fly is just as bad. Then we go over the other side and we see that a couple of bushings have been put in this side. And there, but rather poorly. They haven't been put in properly. The bushes, instead of being put in at that angle, exaggerated of course, have been put in at that angle. So what's happening is the pinion is rubbing on that side of the bush and rubbing on that side and increasing friction within the movement. That's why that doesn't spin. That should spin easily. That one there's a bit crap too. But once we've put bushes in there, because they weren't in the original plate, they were just drilled and then had the wheels dropped in, you'll notice there's no bushings on any of these either. So they will all have to be rebushed, and we'll have to redo the front. Right, we'll take that apart. Then we'll check the going side train. Looks like a bit of bushing to happen. Remove that screw out of there. Take the plate off. Remove the wheels and the fly. And then we'll have a look at this plate and see if it's straight or not. Those couple of pillars there appear to be bent, but it may actually be the plate. Before we bend these, we want to check see what the plate's like. And we'll use a straight edge, put it from there to there. And you can see in the center the gap in there. Look at the gap in there. That is way out of square. Do the same for the other side, making sure that we've got the straight edge straight along and not on the top of a bush or anything. A little bit there, but nowhere near as much. This side is way out, so we'll bend that a little bit slowly. Straight edge back again, little bit better. Do this nice and slowly and don't rush into it. Put the top plate back on. See if it fits more easily. They fit. Looking better. That one's out a little bit, but that's looking a lot better than it was. That could still go a little bit more. Okay. I'll sort that out off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll put in the going side and see how many bushes we've got to do there. Okay, that's heaps better. You see all the screws are holding in place. Okay, we'll remove those, then we'll test the going side train. Also, you may well remember earlier on I said how bad these screws were, and we'll clean them up before we put them back in again. You can see how they've been mashed up by people using the wrong screwdrivers with the wrong angle on the blade and not using sufficient pressure to hold it, and when they've been screwing it down it slipped out like that, and that's what's made those marks on those screws. We'll clean them up before we put them back in again. Right. We'll look at the going train now and see what we're up to here. Go. Pop the top plate on. I've put the going train wheels in. We're checking the bushings, and we'll get a close-up on this one here that is absolutely atrocious. This one here. Watch this. Once I get it level, look at it moving around. That'll definitely have to be rebushed. Alright, so we'll get the bushing tools out and we'll get into it. This is the first wheel we're going to bush. You can see how sloppy the pinion is in the bush. This is the first one we'll do. We'll do the top and the bottom. We always do them in pairs to balance them out. Right, first thing we'll do, we'll take the plates apart. One. Two. Then with a felt tip pen, we'll mark which bushings we're going to work on so we don't get them messed up. Back plate. Just check that front plate. That's pretty good actually. we'll do the back one, check it, and then we'll see whether we've got to do the front one. Right. We'll put the wheel with that pivot down so we know which one we're working on. Put the top plate aside. Then from our toolbox, select the centering tool, that one there, and put it into the bushing machine. Tighten the grub screw down. Loosen these two arms. Oh, we forgot. Put a barrel in there. And then line up the centering tool in the middle of the bush hole. Open that up. Drop that in, tighten that down. The other side won't fit, so we'll have to hold it securely while we ream it out. Yep, that's in the center. Right. That's the first step. Take the centering tool out. There. Now we've got to find the diameter of this pinion. 1.65 mil. Put the vernier away. Jot that down. .65. Now we go to our box of bushes and read along and find the nearest to 1.65. Number 50 bush is 1.65. We normally go down one and then broach it out, but we'll try and see how this one goes. Number 50. 50, that's number 50 there. I'll get a thinner set of tweezers. Put that on our palm. There it is. Then we'll take the wheel and try to fit the wheel into the bush. It goes in. And it's a little bit loose. So we'll go down to the next size, number 49. We'll put the 50 bush in first. 50, that one there. We'll get a number 49. Put that aside for a minute. With our tweezers. Put on our palm again, test it. And the pinion does not fit into it. So that's the size we'll need. That aside, write down the number 49. Then we have to look to see what size hole we need to drill to fit the bush. And it's 3.50. 3.50 mil. We've written all that down there so we can't make a mistake if we try to memorise it. Number 49 bush, 1.65 mil internal measurement, 3.50 external measurement. We'll put the bushes aside. Then we'll come over to our tool set and look for our reamers. Now that is 0.47, 3.47 mil. That's our final size hole that we'll ream out with a broach. So we go down 3 sizes from that, and that is 2.47 mil. We put that in first. Loosen that off. Tighten that up in the machine. Other side. A bit closer, that looks better. Now, we're now going to ream this hole out. I'll hold the plate, make sure it doesn't move, though it's clamped down pretty tightly, and slowly ream that hole out. First one done. Put it back in the toolbox so we don't lose it. Take out the next size, 2.97. Put it into the tool. Once again, lower it down and slowly ream the hole out with medium to light pressure. You don't want to push too hard. There we go. Second one's done. Now 3.47 reamer. This is our final one. Hold the plate and carefully wind it round. There we go, that's the final size of the hole. It's a bit tight. Now change the tool over. We're going to push the bushing in now. Here's our hammer. Take the bush, put it on the back plate with the sinkhole pointing out, and then align it in the hole carefully with a set of tweezers. And bring the top of the tool down. Give it a light tap with the hammer. Make sure it's centered and it's flat. Then a harder hit. And there it is. The bushing's in. That's the raw bushing in there. We now have to broach it out so that it fits the wheel. Right, now we select the broach. To fit the bush. That's the one we want. All right. Open up a bit more. We'll put that in a pin vise to hold it. It's got it tightly. Now insert the broach into the bush. We have to align the broach 90 degrees all the way round there, so it's perpendicular to the plate. If you do it at a different angle, it's going to create friction in the bush and the wheel's not going to spin properly. So there we have it. You can align the broach with these pillars if you like for a little bit of help, and slowly turn the broach just a few times, remove it, test it on the pinion, and it fits, but it's just a tiny little bit tight. So we'll take that out. Line it up, get it perpendicular. Another couple of turns. Test it again. Right, we'll now put the wheel between both plates and we'll see how freely it runs. And the top plate, that aligned. Put in a couple of screws to hold it in place. And there. One in the center. Still feels a bit tight, which is what we want. We don't want it to be loose and sloppy. Still a bit tight. Okay, we'll take a little bit more out with the broach. Only a couple of turns, because broaches are very efficient cutting tools. One or two twists too many and you're back where you started. You've got to start rebushing all over again. Okay, into the bush, line it up, get the perpendicular, couple of turns, back in. Top plate on. Make sure we've aligned it properly. Yep, that's in. Now a couple of screws into the posts. On there. Line that, it's fallen into place. One in there. Tighten them in a little bit. See what we got. See how freely that's moving. Check it for end plate, which should be good because it's moving so well. You can see that there. The wheel moving backwards and forwards. Excellent. Well, that's the first one. We're almost finished. One more step to go. We'll take the screws out. Put them back in our tray so we don't lose them. Take the plates apart. The wheel back over there. This is a cutting broach. It's a 5-sided cutting tool and is very, very efficient. It removes material inside bushes very quickly, and you've got to be very careful when you're using it. Now, once you've got the correct size for your bush, for the pinion, the last thing you do is run over it with one of these, which is a burnisher. A burnisher doesn't cut. It just smooths off the inside diameter. So we line that up, spin it round, and that'll smooth it inside, remove any burr that there may be there. So that's now finished. That's a complete sequence. Now I'll finish the rest off camera. After I've done that, I'll come back and we'll put the movement back together again between the plates, including the springs, which we've already cleaned, and put them in, and then oil it and see how smoothly it runs. This is one of the screws from the Seth Thomas clock. You can see how butchered up it is, people using the wrong screwdrivers on it. Also, I don't think it's an original screw from the clock. It looks more like a French cheese head screw, plus the thread is very short. It's also been blued, and American clocks don't have blued screws in them. So I'd be very surprised if this is actually an original from the clock. However, we're going to clean the mess up. Oop. I think that's a little bit off center. We'll try and see. No, that's right. We've put the first screw in a pin vise and put it in the chuck in the lathe and turn it on. I'll bring the tool post back a bit. Then using light pressure with a pivot file, turn it up a little bit, and then place it flat on the head of the screw. You can see it moving around. That's how much is destroyed on the top. It's supposed to be smooth and it's anything but. Move the pivot file up and down. You can gradually feel it starting to get smoother. Turn the lathe off. Here's a torch. So we can see how we're going. No, we're not anywhere near it yet. Lathe back on. Pivot file again. Moving up and down, backwards and forwards. We're not going to re-blue this screw or the other ones. We're going to highly polish them so that they won't rust. It's feeling better. Now we'll do the side the same. slowly smoothing it off. Next step is an India stone, nice fine stone. Run that across the face, up and down, backwards and forwards, and then on the side. Starting to look a bit shinier now. Now the ruby stone for the final polish. After we've used the ruby stone, we'll then put the burnisher on it. Alright, that looks alright. Now, burnisher. And we'll finish with the burnisher. We'll take the screw out and have a look, see what it looks like. Okay. Turn the lathe off. Move the pin vise out of the chuck. We'll see what we've got. As you can see, we've got rid of the large chunks of metal that were over the top. We've removed the blue from the top and the side. And now for the final part in the process. We'll clean up the slot with a screw slot file. This is a screw we've just put through the lathe and cleaned up. Now the final part of this is we're going to clean up the slot there. Now to do that, we have a very specialised file, being one of those. I'll draw what it looks like because you're not going to be able to see it. So the file looks like that. That's where the files are, down there. That's the piece that cuts into the metal. This square bit here on the side is a safe spot, so that when you're filing down into the head of the screw, you're not actually filing away those sides. The sides stay there while you're filing down and removing any burrs from it. So we're not widening. We're not widening the slot in the screw. We're just taking off the rough spots on either side. Excellent, that looks pretty good. Right, I'll do the other 4 or 5 off camera, then we'll come back and pick up where we left off. If you want to learn how to service, repair and restore 19th and 20th century mechanical clocks, then subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell.
Good morning.